Fritz sparks controversy. I don't need to watch Alcaraz, ATP Toyko 2025. Taylor Fritz just walked off court after surviving one of the toughest battles of his season. The baseline rallies? He lost most of them. The heat and humidity? They drained him. The short turnaround? Still weighing on his body. But somehow, he walked away the winner. So what saved him? Not his consistency from the back. Not a tactical masterclass. The one thing that carried Fritz across the finish line was something far simpler, but far deadlier: his serve. And in his press conference, Fritz was brutally honest about it. Today, we're breaking down his raw answers, how he explained his survival, how he handled the suffocating conditions, what he thinks about his rivals like Carlos Alcaraz, and what this tells us about his mindset going forward. The first question was simple. As always, can we ask you to start by commenting on today's match? Fritz didn't sugarcoat anything. Yeah, I thought it was a tough match. He played really well from the baseline. I was having a hard time hanging with him from the back. Luckily, I served incredibly well, one of the best serving matches I've had all year. That's honesty you don't always hear from players. Many pros like to spin things positively, even if they struggled. Fritz admitted it. He wasn't the better player in rallies. His ground game looked vulnerable. But his serve? That was his shield, his sword, his ticket to survival. When the pressure rose, he slammed down aces. When rallies loomed, he earned free points. It completely flipped the psychology of the match. Suddenly, his opponent had to protect every service game while Fritz cruised through his own. Without that serve, this match might have been over in straight sets. With it, he was alive and dangerous. And this has been a theme throughout Fritz's career. When his baseline game falters, the serve keeps him competitive against anyone. It's a weapon that doesn't just win him points, it wins him belief. Then came the question about the brutal conditions. It was hot. It was humid. The kind of sticky air that feels like you're playing tennis with a wet towel wrapped around you. Fritz described it simply. The humidity kind of just sucks the energy out of you, but I dealt with it well. And again, I was serving really well, so I was getting a lot of free points. This wasn't just a throwaway line. It revealed how he adapted. While some players try to grind through and end up collapsing physically, Fritz used his serve as a shortcut. Instead of trading 30-ball rallies in suffocating humidity, he shortened points. Big first serves, quick finishes, less running. That's resilience in disguise, not about pushing harder, but about playing smarter. Fans watching might not notice it right away, but this is survival strategy at its best. He didn't fight the conditions head-on. He outsmarted them. Another reporter asked, "Was this the best you felt all week?" After all, Fritz had arrived here with very little rest from his last tournament. His response was steady. "I don't think I felt incredible, but I've felt pretty good the whole time." No exaggeration. No hype. Just honesty. That matters because in tennis, tournaments often come back-to-back with almost no breathing space. Players rarely feel 100%. Instead, the real challenge is staying consistent enough to keep competing. And Fritz is showing he understands that. He's not relying on peak form every day. He's relying on stability. It's a professional's mindset. He doesn't need to feel perfect. He just needs to feel good enough to keep swinging. Then came the big career question. With Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner dominating the spotlight, does Fritz see himself setting ranking goals? Top 3? A year-end target? His answer revealed a grounded approach. Not necessarily. I'm just trying to play the best tennis I can. If I finish strong, maybe I could end at number 3, which would be a career high. But the most important thing is just improving and getting to the level where I can win a slam. That's telling. For some players, rankings are everything. For Fritz, rankings are a bonus. What matters more is his growth, the evolution of his game to a point where he can challenge for a Grand Slam. He knows numbers look good on paper, but it's the trophies that make legacies. This mindset keeps pressure off. He isn't promising to catch Alcaraz or Sinner overnight. He's promising to become the best version of Taylor Fritz. And that's a powerful mindset for long-term success. And then came one of the most fascinating exchanges of the night. A journalist asked, "How much time do you spend analyzing your opponents?" Fritz's answer?
Zero.
He laughed. Maybe 10 minutes before a final. I've played them before, I've seen them play. I have a very good memory. When I play a match, I can remember almost every point. That's rare. In today's era, players live on video scouting. They study tendencies, serve patterns, weaknesses. Fritz? He relies on his memory and instincts. He broke it down clearly. Against Casper Ruud, he has more freedom to pick when to attack. Against Carlos Alcaraz, he needs to strike immediately or risk Carlos taking over the rallies. That shows tactical awareness. But it also shows confidence, and maybe even stubbornness. By trusting his recall over scouting footage, he's betting on himself. He's saying, I've been there, I've felt it, I don't need to watch it again. It sets him apart in a tour that's increasingly data-driven. But it's also risky. What if an opponent changes their patterns? What if they bring something new? Fritz's self-belief is refreshing, but it leaves him exposed if he's wrong. So, what does all this reveal about Taylor Fritz right now? He's brutally honest about his strengths and weaknesses. He knows his serve is his lifeline and isn't afraid to admit when his baseline game struggles. He adapts to tough conditions by leaning on his biggest weapon instead of burning energy. He's realistic about his physical state, aiming for consistency rather than perfection. He values improvement over chasing rankings, showing he's playing the long game. And tactically, he trusts his memory and instincts over endless scouting, making him stand out from his peers. Put it all together, and you get a player who's both resilient and stubborn. Vulnerable in some ways, but lethal in others. And as he looks ahead, especially at potential clashes with Alcaraz or Sinner, the question becomes, can this approach get him over the hump at a Grand Slam? Taylor Fritz has the serve, the resilience, and the mindset to challenge the very best. But will that be enough to finally break through at the biggest tournaments? What we saw in this press conference was a man who knows exactly who he is as a player. Not perfect, not dominant in every area, but dangerous enough to beat anyone on the right day. And with a serve like the one he had today, don't be surprised if Taylor Fritz shocks the tennis world again very, very soon. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, do you think Fritz can win a Grand Slam with this style of game? Or does he need to evolve even further? Let's talk about it.